Oh hey, didn't see you there. Well, I'm Simper Wi-Fi. What's your name? Kind of quiet, aren't you? That's okay. I can do most of the talking. Where are we now? Well, kind of thought if you came here that you would know where you are, but this is Oberpieseln. What are the people of Oberpieseln like, you're wondering? Well, I think you can understand a lot about the people of Oberpieseln by looking at their motto, in Complexität geeint, which in our tongue means united in complexity. Want to know more, huh? Well, you're just in time. I was about to start a new YouTube series playing City Skylines 2. I can tell you all about the people of Oberpieseln. I actually had a little story I was going to read here right when you walked up. I think it's important for people to know this story as they watch this series, so I'm going to go ahead and also make it more accessible by putting the text on the screen. Oberpieseln, an enigmatic realm nestled in the foothills where modern France, Germany, and Switzerland converge, has long been a land shrouded in mystery. Its people, the Oberpieselners, have been subject to speculation for centuries. The most accepted theory is that they are the descendants of a peculiar mix of foreign exchange student and local tradespeople, both of whom had a tendency to overcomplicate things in the most mundane ways. Their dialect, which contains a blend of confusing and off-putting words, was a key factor in the region's relative isolation. Outsiders, bemused by the language, avoided the area, and the people of Oberpieseln kept to themselves, flourishing in the quiet peace that these surrounding warring powers could not disrupt. A note on language. Oberpieseln translated to modern English as Upper Pieseln. The people of Niederpieseln or Lower Pieseln no longer exist as a singular tribe, and have most likely blended in with Luxembourgish and other Franco-Germanic peoples farther north. As for Oberpieseln, like the town previously called F-word in Austria, place names in this region are often assumed to have a different meaning by other German speakers. I won't use those translations because they do not equate to their original meaning. The river Pinkeln itself is the Oberpieseln word for a well-known waterway still called, rather incorrectly, by a different name outside the region. By the late medieval period, Oberpieseln had managed to sidestep the rampant wars and plagues that decimated neighboring lands. While the kingdoms and principalities of France and Germany were embroiled in bloody battles and devastation, Oberpieseln remained untouched. This geographical and linguistic isolation allowed the Oberpieselners to develop a uniquely prosperous fashion, particularly in trade and local commerce. The region's rising wealth would eventually lead to the development of a groundbreaking financial system that would forever alter the course of its history and that of Europe. It was during the Renaissance, amid the crumbling remnants of the feudal system, that Oberpieseln's new financial system, Pieseln Finanz, was born. While Europe was mired in costly wars and the destructive spread of diseases, the clever Oberpieselners, uninterested in the ongoing regional squabbles, turned their attention to more profitable ventures, financing the very wars that were crippling their neighbors. At first, their intervention was subtle. Local merchants with an eye for lucrative opportunities began offering loans to foreign powers in exchange for promises of future payment. But as tensions escalated and funds ran low for the warring kingdoms, the Oberpieselners, always thinking one step ahead, introduced a new type of loan, the double debt. This new financial instrument, while initially appealing to desperate powers, included a peculiar and burdensome clause. Not only would the powers owe vast sums of money with high interest, but if they defaulted on their debt or made any attempt to invade Oberpieseln, the contract stipulated that other regional powers, neighbors with their own outstanding obligations to the Oberpieselners, would have the right to step in and collect the debt on behalf of the Oberpieselners. The region's financial system had become a self-perpetuating machine. One power defaulted, and others, eager to collect their share, would invade the debtor, ensuring the money flowed right back into Oberpieseln's coffers. In the 17th century, as the devastating 30 Years' War raged across Europe, the double debt system reached its zenith. The surrounding powers, already exhausted by years of fighting, found themselves ensnared in a labyrinth of overlapping financial obligations. Each debt compounded upon the last, and the intricate financial web the Oberpieselners had woven proved too much for the region's leaders to untangle. In the midst of this confusion, the Treaty of Westphalia was signed in 1648, not as a result of military victory or strategic diplomacy, but because the warring powers simply couldn't afford to continue. The complexities of their debts to Oberpieseln, now a tangle of unpaid loans and demands for invasion of, at times, their allies, were driving them to distraction. Faced with mounting frustration and perhaps not fully understanding the intricate terms of their contracts, the powers at the table simply agreed to peace, signing the treaty and moving on with their lives. Oberpieseln, largely forgotten and still minor player in the region, was left untouched. The Treaty of Westphalia, in historic oversight, had inadvertently guaranteed Oberpieseln's continued autonomy. Its debts, its strange financial system, and its labyrinthine clauses were so confusing that no one outside the region truly understood how they worked. This misunderstanding allowed the Oberpieselners to exist as a sovereign entity for centuries, with no one the wiser to the fact that their very survival was tied to a series of incomprehensible financial and legal obligations. By the late 18th century, Oberpieseln's financial ingenuity had not only preserved its independence, but had become a model for others. Pieselnfinanz, now an established alternative to mercantilism, had allowed the Oberpieselners to thrive as an industrial and trading hub. They had over time developed a network of powerful trading centers, and the financial wealth that flowed through their land led to the rise of nationalist sentiment. The Oberpieselners, who had spent centuries content to remain on the periphery of Europe's grand conflicts, found themselves in a unique position to assert their autonomy in a newly unified Europe. As the rest of Europe struggled with revolution and economic upheaval, Oberpieseln, guided by the sharp minds of its bankers and traders, took a confident step forward. The Oberpieselners, emboldened by their long-standing financial success, now began to dream of a proper country. Their industrial centers, connected by a web of trade and finance, grew into the backbone of a rising national identity. And so by the late 1700s, Oberpieseln was no longer a mere backwater, but a powerful system of financial innovation, proud of its past and ready to face the future. They had a proud legacy that stood in contrast to and defiance of their Hochdeutsch and French-speaking neighbors. It is in this time of economic boom and rising nationalist fervor that our story begins, in the small village of Häufchen. Nestled in somewhat close proximity to the river Pinkeln, Häufchen was a quaint and humble town, its cobbled streets buzzing with the newfound energy of Oberpieseln's industrial growth. The people of Häufchen, descendants of those mysterious forebears, went about their business in much the same way they always had, with a keen eye for opportunity and an instinct for keeping their strange dialect and complex financial systems just out of the reach of outsiders. But this was only the beginning. In the years to come, Häufchen and the surrounding villages would be the staging ground for a movement that would ultimately see Oberpieseln rise from a collection of trading hubs and industrial centers to a proud sovereign nation. And it would be from here that the Oberpieselners would again find themselves at the center of a new chapter in European history, all thanks to the curious legacy of Pieselnfinanz and the confusing, convoluted financial clauses that had once ensured their survival. Okay, welcome back. This is Simper Wi-Fi. Here we are in Oberpieseln. So I ended up going with a vanilla map because for a couple reasons. One is that the map builders do a great job with their maps, and they look beautiful and everything. And they also spend a lot of time, however, not just on the kind of topography of the map, but also on the roadway network. So I feel kind of bad ripping up, the work that looks really good usually to play in my play style, which is to tear everything up and then pretend that we're settling, this kind of unoccupied area. So that's one reason. The other reason is that the vanilla maps in City Skylines, it's kind of the opposite, where they seem to have put very little
very little thought into why am I here, the weird looking roads and everything that, for whatever reason, this has survived from City Skylines 1, this kind of weird three-way highway junction that leads to this rural setting that you're building a city in. The first thing to do here, and this is going to be pretty easy because this is all just one riverway, is to just go ahead and delete everything.
I feel like I'm having a dream, but better.
In Cities 2, it's very easy to create edge of the map boundaries or edge of the map connections. Cities 1, you had to have mods and all this stuff.
I'd like to go ahead and thank the sponsors of today's video.
I do like this map. It kind of fulfills the motif of the series that I'm going for, of being located on the River Pinkeln, which is the correct name for this river, not the other name. Just ignore that they created this outside the tile boundary coastline. It could be the Bodensee or something like that, but we're gonna pretend that kind of this is all we can see.
Hi, my name is Zipper Wi-Fi, and I have information leading
We don't
to
need
the
the power,
arrest
we
of
don't
Chuck
need nothing.
Mangione.
Again, you can do all of this yourself. Let's see, do we have any water pipes? There is a road here. We are deleting this guy's bridge. So I think that's it. Like I said, the first thing I'm going to build here is a village called Häufchen. There are a few things to consider when I'm choosing the first village to build, which is never going to be very big. The first is I want it to be relatively close to some fertile land. So that's one thing. We've got some up here, we've got some along the river. I don't want to get too close to the river. The idea is that this is a fairly remote kind of foothills of the Alps village. And then the other thing is making sure that you keep it away from where there's going to be a major city, the capital city build. And I'm thinking for that, probably this peninsula here. And by the way, none of this land, I know there's these topographical lines everywhere. It's not all that scary. I mean, this going straight uphill here, and it's less than 3% grade, so that it's a lot flatter than it kind of looks if you just zoom out and look at all the topographical lines. We can be pretty close up here to this farmland, and there's this nice flat spot here that there could be like a town plaza or something like that, and we're close to the edge of the map. So now that I've ripped up all the roads, we're gonna have to reestablish map connections, or outside the map connections. This way that can be kind of as cheap as possible and build the highways relatively in a relatively short space. Up the river, we're going to say that this is Basel, that leads to Basel, that road. And then down the map, we're going to say that this road leads to Strasbourg. So for now, what I want to do is just draw in what will be the central town plaza. 60 meters square. These people were good at math. Remember, they were exchange students. Yeah, all right, here's what we're going to do. First of all, so that we don't have to mess around with this later and know that this is going to be eventually a 2-lane interstate. So we're just going to take these one-way roads here, and can't turn off the parking yet, which is unfortunate, but that's not a huge deal right now.
Kushtaka cries where the cries a shadow of the night just once betrayed, now it's furious.
Just connect this straight in like that. That is our connection outside the map. So this is going to be Basel. Our story here is beginning before modern road building techniques. So
Hi, can I have a number 3 with the mayo?
not getting too steep.
Can I have another bread? Mayo? Hi, can I have another bread with the mayo? Can I have bread?
See, eventually, remember, this is going to be the road into the rest of the map, so this is actually not leading to Häufchen. See what we can get away with. Yeah, that's okay. And then for now, we're just going to have a 90-degree road runoff. And we need to wind our way up this hill and into Häufchen. So that is our road into Häufchen. We also want to create... This is really, I have to suspend disbelief here with the fact that this is a historical city, but we are playing City Skylines. So this power line, we're just going to run little city services center over here. So that'll be our power line in and out. We'll go ahead and run more water pipes because eventually these are going to be a highway. So another thing I want to do is get some trees in. Vanilla maps, it's nice that they give you a real blank slate to work with, but that also means that they don't put a lot of trees in. So I want to put trees all along. I'm not going to do the entire map because that'll just kill, the game speed, but I want to put them all along the roads next to the river. I think makes sense, where there's not going to be any building. So don't want to waste too much of my money on this. And we can say that this is the forest, a historical forest, the Kackwald. K-A-C-K, Kackwald.
These are some questions. What if I became a podcaster? Whose podcast is this? Can a podcast make me more powerful than I ever imagined?
Tanking my budget on
Who is
trees.
stopping me
So
from
actually, with
podcasting?
that said, I might kind of hit
Questions.
pause on that. That's what we want to do. All right, so let's get a basic town square set up. The parish church, I think, is 100 and... I've written this down. 104. I don't want to spend 40k on that again. So we haven't unlocked the parish church, but I know I want that to be kind of the center of town. So, yeah. Okay, so this is our town plaza area. Get a surface in there if it'll allow us this early in the game. It will. So we'll get some cross paths so people can cut across. And then that gives us space for some little pocket parks to make this kind of a functional park space. And then in the middle, we can do our little market stalls. Okay, and then we can get a little stage over here. Fountain. And maybe a gazebo. On this side. That's our little market square. Some benches. Okay. That's the start of it. We don't have parks unlocked yet, but I just wanted to go ahead and get the basic idea in there. Now, as for the rest of the road network, why am I here? I'm going at very 90-degree angles in this because it's just City Skylines assets just play better with that. For electricity, what I want to do is get our French substation in here, and there's no noise pollution or anything like that, which is nice, and it's a good kind of downtown looking building. So we can get that in there. Just connect to that. Now we need our road to come in. So that's the way into town. Really just trying to keep my zoning tiles not broken at this point. So I'm not really worried about shipping, so we'll go ahead and have with stuff in the middle. Oh, so for water, normally I'd say, okay, these people would be getting their water from the Pinkeln, obviously. It's right here. That's why they settled over here. But now with the French water tower, they basically built a cheat code into the game where you can also have it do sewage and not have to worry about polluting the heck out of your land. And then we don't have mixed use, so these zones are not going to stay.
I'm going to put a
like this.
picture of a man
Go
on the
ahead,
screen,
get it.
and it's very important you tell me if you saw him before. Remember, he could have gotten
So
a
yeah, these
haircut,
are going to be
he could be
those,
wearing his beard
UK
differently.
Mixed use.
Perhaps his clothing is more stylish or more country.
One of them needs to be the parish church, which I think is going to be this side. So this block needs to be one deeper. Yeah, so that'll go perfectly in there. Go ahead and do the...
In shadowed forests, Sasquatch roams with vengeful steps. Silence breaks to roar, tracks deep in the soil. A warning etched in the earth, Sasquatch leaves its mark. Moonlight flees the beast, eyes like embers burning bright. Sasquatch claims the night.
I want to try to satisfy as much jobs demand as possible with non-polluting industries. You kind of can't totally avoid it, but to build factories, they're going to want to be over here. And maybe we'll wind this road.
They're coming. You have to prepare. Horses, wild, black as the devil's heart. Thousands of them. They trampled the village east of here. Nothing left but broken bones and blood.
We need more homes. Oh, let me,
Hi, can I have another
three budget?
No,
we don't have budget. That's because it's the first house.
Can I have another bread?
Okay, we've almost filled in the first
Mayo, bread.
area in downtown Häufchen im Kackwald. So this is Häufchen im Kackwald. Oh, here we go. Going to the market, I'm sure. All these nice little homes next to a 3 or 4 story electrical substation. Small town life is beautiful. And eventually these streets will all get paved, but right now I'm not really worried about that.
Beneath the silver glow of moonlit skies, the chupacabra roams with gentle tread. No hunger dries the kindness in its eyes, nor thirst for blood.
There we
but
go.
friendship
Okay,
in its
tiny
breast.
village, so let's see what
Its
we
jagged
have to
spines
do
once
now.
meant to stoke dismay.
New signature buildings. So the signature buildings, by the way,
Treats the night with
I'm
laughter,
probably
not
just going to
dismay.
place in...
And lets the terrors of
Okay, so we have the budget now. Just going to place with Find It because, you never really unlock enough of them in my opinion. So we have medium density housing already for whatever reason. The row housing, now that's good because downtown we're going to want row housing for sure. Even though it's a small town, in European small towns they do kind of wall-to-wall buildings in the real downtown area. We can go ahead and put in the UK Parish Church. My German keyboard.
These are some exclamations.
Häufchen im Kackwald.
This podcast is really great.
Church.
More people should listen to this past. I would be this one. My
Very nice.
podcast
Yeah.
should be more popular.
This is idyllic.
These have been some exclamations.
Idyllic town with a bunch of shops with neon lights as it goes. So then we also need healthcare. Smallest guy possible is probably what we're going to want. Yeah, this one's very inexpensive and fits perfectly. Just the land. Okay, the landfill. So that's all. And then after I place that, I'll probably kind of wrap up this episode. The landfill, let's put
Here are some questions.
over here.
Who built this city? Whose road is
That's
this?
not going to be permanent either.
Where is my building? Who is building my streets? Where is my zoning toolkit?
That is a massive
These have
building.
been some questions.
It's like, hey, City Skylines, this is Sim for Wi-Fi. I'm trying to build a historic village here. Oh, you need city services, including the biggest landfill building in the world. Well, that's not true. In the world is a bit of an exaggeration. I grant you that. No, those power lines are in the way. Well, right now we probably don't need too much, so just gonna probably keep it small. And I think that'll help control the budget. I'm not gonna worry about the terrain tearing there because we're not gonna look at it. And before I hit play, let's go into budget and just everything is in half except for the service fees. Some people mess with the tax rate and increase it. In Cities 1, you could bump it up consistent. I mean, you could keep it, I think, 2 or 3 percentage points higher throughout your entire gameplay, and really nobody would cause much of a fuss about it. They might tweet about it or something. In Cities 2, I've found, I mean, if you bump it up at all, people really start to get annoyed. Maybe one more of these streets, so we get some even zoning. I'm not gonna upzone in here because this is just going to become mixed use. So we'll just start back here. Maybe leave that because this way into town is probably going to be a little get a little noisy. These houses, I'll draw that back in later, but let's just go ahead and have them face the correct way. Probably get some little houses going out towards this farm. That's that. Now maybe let's get a little industrial going out here, just generic industrial.
Hi,
Let's hit
hi,
play
hi,
and see.
hi, bread,
Slow things down.
bread, can I have another bread, mayo, hi, can I have another bread, mayo, can I have bread,
Alright, but as that is growing in, I'm gonna zoom in here and just kind of hit pause for now, and see you next time, and we'll keep building out Häufchen, and it'll be a blast. Okay, it'll be fun. I promise.